Okay, welcome back to Lesson 3, Episode 3. Question for you. Why is it important to listen to people's stories? Why should you listen to your co-workers? Why should you listen to your clients? Why should you listen to your potential clients? If you listen to your customers' stories or your potential customers' stories, you'll discover their needs and you'll be able to satisfy their needs, to meet their needs. And in the service industry, especially in hospitality, that's the secret to success.
Once upon a time, I lived in a castle. This is a true story. I know what you're thinking, some stinking rich Englishman. Who does he think he is? It wasn't quite like that. This was actually a school. I was sent to a boarding school on a scholarship. It was very much like Hogwarts. I had to take this long journey on a big ship across the ocean to get to this strange magical island where this school was. This is a true story, okay? We even had magic there. We had a magic teacher. So, this was a boarding school, and so we'd go to school on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 6 days a week. Which sounds bad, but we'd have sports on most afternoons, except Tuesday, when we had to train to be in the military, or if you were really lucky and you were over 16, you could join the college fire service, okay? I was not 16 when this story started. I'm 12 3/4 at the time of this story. It's a Sunday afternoon, and a couple of the older boys came over to us, and they asked us if we wanted to go with them and go for a walk and go hang out. And I was a nerdy little, weedy little 12 3/4-year-old. And two of the people who said yes were two of the tough guys, two of the jocks, the sporty guys, the athletes. And I thought it was going to be really cool to hang out with them and with a couple of the older kids. So my friends and I joined them, and we walked behind this great big castle-like building down a hill where there was a little house. And we went into this house, and we started going up the stairs, and we went into a room. And in this room, there was a piano. In fact, there were lots of rooms like this. We were inside the music school. And in front of each piano was a bench, a wooden bench. And so the older guys moved the bench into the middle of the room. The two tough guys climbed onto the bench, and they pushed up. And they pushed the ceiling, and there was this wooden trapdoor. And they moved it out of the way, and they were able to pull themselves up into the trapdoor. Okay, into the ceiling. Now, I couldn't reach, but one of the big strong guys put his arms down and pulled me right up in there, and then they pulled a couple of my other friends who were a little smaller like me up into this roof space. So imagine, we're in this roof space now. It's all wood. It's like a V-shaped, it's a very sharp V-shaped ceiling, and the floor is not a solid floor. It's styrofoam and it's strips of wood, and you have to be very careful. You don't want to put your feet through the ceiling below, okay? So we're sitting up there. It's all great. We're having fun. We're chatting. We're joking. And one of the guys takes out a packet of cigarettes, and he passes around the cigarettes. So I take one, being cool, and I remember this moment. Listen, I remember this perfectly well. This was a long time ago, and I remember it perfectly. I grabbed a cigarette like this, and everybody started laughing at me. Listen, I held it like this because my dad smoked, and he'd been at the same school, and he was a cool guy, and he was tough and athletic, unlike me, and he held his cigarettes like this, probably because it was very windy on this island. So I picked up the cigarette, I held it like this, and they all looked at me and pointed, went, ha ha ha, Jono doesn't even know how to hold a cigarette. So I copied the rest of them, peer pressure, and I held the cigarette normally like this, okay? And so there we were, somebody had a lighter, and we were smoking and laughing and joking. And suddenly, I heard a voice. And the voice said, "What the bloody hell are you lot doing up there?" Immediately, I reacted. I had recognized that voice. That was the voice of Mr. Polly Parrot, the music teacher. Big nose like a parrot. That's why it wasn't his real name, okay? And the trapdoor came up, and this big head came through. But it wasn't Mr. Polly Parrot at all. It was the head of one of the 16-year-old boys, one of the rugby players, big tough guy. And he looked up, and he looked around, and he's a little bit scary, this guy. But he recognized the two other jocks, the two other sporty guys. It's funny how people just recognize their own type. Like the emos recognize the emos, the nerds recognize the nerds, the jocks recognize the jocks, the cute girls recognize the cute girls. It's that same thing in high schools around the world. Anyway, he looked at the other two guys and he just laughed. He said, "Go on, get out of here." So we left. I think he just wanted to go up there and smoke himself, okay? So we left, we went back to our houses. We had a house system, you know, like Hufflepuff and Gryffindor and so on. I was in Hufflepuff, of course. And we messed around, we played a bit of table tennis. We went and had our big meal in the big dining hall, just like Harry Potter's dining hall. And eventually, at 10:15, we had to be in bed, okay? 10:15 was lights out. We went to bed around 9:45, but 10:15, no more talking, lights out. And I was lying there in my bed and I could hear the big clock chime. 10:30, 10:45, 11 o'clock, 11:15, and I couldn't sleep. 11:30. I was getting very, very stressed. My heart was beating. I was lying in bed. We weren't allowed to talk, and I was nervous, and I was kind of restless. You know why I was restless, right? Because when we had been up in that roof smoking, and when I thought it was the teacher coming in, I had just thrown that cigarette into the corner of the room, all this wood and styrofoam and little wooden shavings. And I was trying to work out how many hours it would take before the music school caught light from that little glowing ember of my cigarette. And I had a reason to be afraid because I did have form. I had done something like this before when I was very young. I remember going to my friend's house and I borrowed a lighter from one of my parents. And I'd seen this hedge. And just out of curiosity, I tried to set light to this hedge. And all that happened was there was a little glow of red and nothing else. And I left it and I went to go and play with my friend. When I was going home a few hours later, I saw that hedge and it was completely black and burned. And so I realized that with the addition of wind, a little tiny red glowing stick can turn into a huge fire. I never got found out about that, so please don't tell anybody. Okay, so where were we? I'm lying in bed, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I have no idea when the school is going to burn down and it's going to be my fault and I'm going to be sent away from the school. I'll be expelled. I'm going to be in serious trouble. They'll send me to the really nasty school by my house where all new boys get their heads flushed down the toilet. I was afraid, okay? 11:45, I still cannot get to sleep. And then I made a deal. I don't remember who the deal was with. Was it God? Was it nature? Was it? I don't know who, but I made this deal. And the deal was this. If the music school does not burn down, I will never smoke a cigarette again, ever, in my life. And that was enough, that certainty, and I fell asleep. The next thing I heard was ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, this bell going really, really loudly. Oh my God. I looked up, it was half dark. There were people moving around me. I didn't know what was going on. And then I heard a voice and it said, 8 minutes. And it was one of my classmates. And he has to go from each dormitory to dormitory to dormitory saying how long it is till breakfast. That bell was just the bell to wake us up in the morning. 3 minutes, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, you have to knock on the senior boys' door because otherwise they get very angry with you and they start throwing things at you like rugby boots. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. By this time we're all out of bed, we've put on our t-shirt, our shirt, our tie and our sweater all over in one. That's the trick. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. This time you get your pants on, same underwear as you were wearing the day before. We only changed our underwear twice a week. This is teenage boys. Gross, yes, I know. Time, gentlemen, please. Time, gentlemen, please. Time, gentlemen, please. We really said that. And we went into breakfast. Breakfast in the Barovian Hall. It was really like the dining hall in Harry Potter. Huge oak tables, paintings of famous people on the walls that we didn't really know who they were. A few things missing. There were no headless ghosts flying around, okay? No nearly headless Nick. But apart from that, it was just the same. And we had this huge breakfast, and we had these big teapots, and they brought food and more food. It wasn't as good as in Harry Potter, but it was okay. They filled us up. But I was still a little bit nervous. But everybody can see you. You cannot leave the room until the master rings the gong. Dong! That meant I could leave. So I came straight out of the dining hall, went round the round, downward spiraling staircase, across the quadrangle, through the big arched gates, round the corner. First thing I saw, guess what? A fire truck. Yes. It was the school fire engine. Okay. Remember I told you Tuesday afternoons the older kids could become trainee fire service staff, what we call firemen in England. So I went behind the fire truck and I could see the music school. And I walked down to the music school. I sniffed a bit. And it smelt okay. I wasn't sure. I went in the building. I just had a little look around. I could not smell any smoke. You know what? The music school did not burn down. And that is why I gave up smoking cigarettes when I was 12 3/4. Thank you.
All right, over to you. It's your turn now. I'll post this page on Blackboard today. But how the heck are we going to do this online? How are you going to see and hear your classmates' stories? YouTube. So do you want to know how I'm grading your story? Read the F column very quickly. You don't want to be there. I do give Fs, by the way, and Ds, but you really don't want one. This is where you need to be. If you want to see some more good examples of storytelling with a message, check out these links. I'll post them in the comments section below. You've got a guy called Mufasa. You may know him from The Lion King. And then there's the lovely and talented Salma Hayek. And some minor CFL Canadian football player called Dwayne something, later known as The Rock, and currently the highest paid actor in the world. Okay, did you learn anything today? What are some of the powerful things that stories can do for your business? Can you identify some stories that have changed the way people live, whole countries sometimes? And what are some simple yet brilliant techniques for making a story better, for better connecting with your audience? Homework time. You've got a couple of self-insight quizzes to do and to add the results to your journal. One is on your leadership style and one is on what we call follower readiness. And most importantly, you've got to prepare a 3-minute story to tell to your classmates on YouTube. All the guidelines are on Blackboard. It'll tell you how to set up your own YouTube channel if you don't have one already. It'll tell you how to post your story anonymously so only your classmates can see it, unless you want to spread it out to the rest of the world. And there are loads and loads of other hints on how to tell a good story. See you soon.